So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the UK threatening to put Navy boats on standby if there's no deal with the EU, because basically if there is no deal with the EU, that means that basically EU fishermen don't have a right to be fishing in UK waters, and also UK fishermen don't have the right to be fishing in EU waters. Okay, and for the purposes of this video, we're going to be um, talking as if no deal has already happened, just to make things easier. Because by the looks of things, fishing is a sticking point, as well as level playing field. I think the level playing field is more of a sticking point. But anyways, let's just talk about this as is, and we'll take it from the idea that no deal has happened, just for the purposes of the video. Okay. So talks between the UK and European Union are continuing in Brussels, with one day to go until a deadline imposed by two sides. The leaders of both parties have warned they are unlikely to reach a post-Brexit trade deal, and so what that means is that, like I said, there'll be no rights to fish in the other group's waters. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. Anyways, so gunboats threat. So Admiral Lord Westy, former chief of naval staff, told BBC's Radio 4 today that it was entirely appropriate for the UK to protect the UK waters. Although he said there would need to be parliamentary authority to allow officers to board foreign ships, and so there's a lot of issues here that we need to talk about once we get to the map stage of this video, when we talk about a lot of the logistical issues with this. So Tobias Elwood, Conservative chairman of the Commons Defence Committee, called the threat of using Navy gunboats to patrol the UK waters irresponsible. And I guess what he's got a separate article on him, kind of more of his comments, but the kind of question I want to ask you guys, the audience, is if say a French gunboat comes into UK waters, just along the edges, what do you expect the Royal Navy to do in that situation? Are the Royal Navy meant to fire on this boat? Are the Royal Navy meant to capture this boat, or are the Royal Navy meant to take it to back into French waters or EU waters? That's the question I want to ask you guys, because honestly, any of those solutions is not a great solution. So carrying on here, this isn't Elizabethan times anymore. Tobias Elwood saying this. This is global Britain. We need to be raising the bar much higher than this, he said. According to the MOD's website, three river-class patrol ships with a crew of 45 sailors already work at least 275 days a year at enforcing British and European fisheries law. And it's way easier for the EU as a collective to enforce these rules than it is for the UK to enforce these rules just within UK waters, because if you think about it as a group, and this is something we'll talk about in a bit, if you're in EU fishing waters and you're a foreign boat, it's very easy to deal with that. If you're, say, a foreign boat outside of, not from the UK, if that makes sense. So say like if you're a Russian boat or whatever, that's far easier to deal with than if they're far into EU waters. I'm kind of losing the point here, but what I'm trying to say is it's far easier to spot a boat that's not meant to be there from a more further afield country than it is to stop a boat from the UK going into the EU waters or vice versa, because the borders are going to be very blurred at sea, because it's going to be very hard to know exactly where you are unless you have some sort of satellite or something like that. So I know I went in the weeds there, I'm sorry. So we keep going, and also the fact is, do we have enough boats to patrol the whole area? Because the UK's fishing what's called territory is very big, and having a crew of three river class boats is not going to be enough. So BBC's economics editor Faisal Islam said the government's contingency assumptions are that a lack of business readiness will lead to queues of thousands of lorries at Kent, which is to the port of Dover, operating. What? That doesn't even make sense. It does not make sense in this article. A presentation seen by the BBC only identified room to fast track 70 and 100 lorries. Again, I guess this is about fish, and what we can see from this is, so Kent, so Port of Dover, there were only fast track. They can only fast track between 70 and 100 lorries of perishable goods per day. Should there be tailback? So what that means is that it's going to be very difficult to get food items out of the into the UK by the sounds of things, and also you're going to have the same problems going out of the UK as well. because the port of Dover simply isn't ready, and it's such an integral point of UK trade. Anyways, Kathy Adler with some BTEC analysis here. There is no denying that the prospect of pain of no deal at all with the UK certainly weighs heavy on EU minds. But Europe's leaders are keen to clarify that it will not personally intervene in the current impasse in trade talks. So what that means is, the idea that the UK could divide and conquer, certain EU leaders simply will not work here. Behind the scenes, leaders are involved in discussions with their negotiators, but they don't want to be face to face or ear to ear with Boris Johnson in public. That's because they want Barnier to deal with that, because Barnier is the guy who's meant to deal with it. He's a negotiator. Concessions will have an impact on the whole single market, and therefore all member states as a collective. That's why you have Barnier, who's meant to negotiate on the EU's behalf, rather than sending Merkel or Macron, or I don't really know any other EU leaders. That's a bit embarrassing. Instead of sending a nation state leader, you send in a negotiator. So this is Tobias Elwood saying this is a stupid idea. So deploying the Royal Navy gunboats to protect UK fishing waters under a no deal would be undignified, a former Conservative minister has said. Tory MP described the threat as irresponsible after the Ministry of Defence said 4 ships were ready for robust enforcement when the transition ends. And if, like I said, 4 ships is clearly not going to be enough. And the question these guys in the Royal Navy need to ask themselves, or at least the Parliament need to ask themselves, is that if an EU fishing boat is judged to have gone into UK waters, at that point what happens? Do you A, shoot? Do you B, capture the ship? Or and in that situation, do you detain the ship, or do you send it back into EU waters? They're the questions that the UK Parliament really needs to ask itself, and also those are the questions that the EU as a collective needs to ask itself as well. And also individual nation states as well. So Mr. Elwood, who chairs the Common Defence Committee, told BBC Radio 4's Today programme that headlines highlighting the threat to deploy the Royal Navy risk distracting from the ongoing talks and were absolutely irresponsible. This isn't Elizabethan times anymore. This is global Britain. We need to be raising the bar much higher than this. I think Tobias Elwood needs to be very careful here, because he can be thrown out of the Conservative Party very quickly if he starts going against the Tory line. We saw that with many MPs in 2019. He said the focus should be what is already in the bag, and that outstanding issues like access to fishing waters could be sorted once a trade deal is signed. And Tobias Elwood showing some high levels of stupidity here, because one of the things that are stopping a trade deal being signed is the rights regarding fishing rights. So I don't understand what Tobias Elwood is talking about here. Clearly has no idea what he's talking about. Former Tory party chairman Lord Patten accused Prime Minister Boris Johnson of being a runaway train of English exceptionalism. I mean, he's been on that train since 2014, mate, so I don't know where you've been, Lord Patten. Hamza Yousaf, the Scottish government justice minister, told the BBC this UK government gunboat diplomacy is not welcome in Scottish waters. But the thing is, if the UK puts in no policy to deal with foreign fisher boats coming into UK waters, then they're just going to keep doing it. And then what you've done is create a situation which is far worse than the current situation, which is that the UK have sold off quotas to have in part sold off quotas to EU fishermen. So if you don't enforce the new rules, then all you're going to get is a load of EU fishermen coming into UK waters and taking fish. And on the flip side, if the EU actually enforce strict rules and have a navy that can monitor these waters, then what that means is it's going to put UK fishermen at a massive disadvantage. And so what's clear is that a deal with fishing rights is in everyone's best interest, but I doubt that's going to happen. Hence the purpose of this video talking about a no deal. So basically, it's very hard for anyone to win here, especially the UK. So the MOD said it has conducted extensive planning and preparation to ensure that it is ready for a range of scenarios at the end of the transition period. But what are these scenarios? What's going to happen? That's the question I'm asking you. What will happen if an EU fishing boat crosses into UK water? Why is there no answer for this? I don't understand. The Sunday deadline, so this is about Brexit in general. The EU has rejected Ms Johnson's request to bypass the European Commission and speak directly to French President Macron and Merkel about the unsolved issues. So here you can see Johnson going for a divide and rule, saying that, I want to talk to individual leaders, but the EU saying, no, we don't do that around here. And, if that's something he hasn't figured out yet, he got a very rude message when he tried to do that. Speaking on Friday, the Prime Minister said no deal is very, very likely. Von der Leyen, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Dano, you know what to do if I'm wrong. Told reporters that the two sides were still apart on fundamental issues. That's most likely it's going to be, what's it called? Level playing field and fishing rights. So the same stuff that's been dragging this on for months or years at this point is still going. The only time we saw beef over fish, it was a stupid statement, I'm sorry, was during the, well, I mean, there'll be more examples of it, was the Cod Wars, which was between the UK and Iceland. I remember, the Iceland manager making a joke about that in the Euros 2016. And so if we look here, right, the questions we need to ask ourselves is, so there's Iceland up there, and they crashed into UK fishing waters, I think, and that's what caused the conflict. If you want to read about it, I'll link the Wikipedia story below. But the question you need to ask yourself: what if a Norwegian boat, or any EU boat, right, zips across from here to here? I know there's going to be a massive stretch of water, but if they get back into the waters of the Faroe Islands, what happens then? Or if they're crossing this way back into EU waters, the Royal Navy can't go into EU waters because they wouldn't be allowed to. So what happens in that situation? Or even here, I think here's where you're going to have the most likely cause of it. You're going to have, potentially, say even Dutch boats or French boats coming in around here. And where is this border specifically? Because unless it's marked out in the water, which would be very difficult to do, I think there's certain devices you can use to do that. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not the most up to date when it comes to fishing and anything aqua based. But why? How do you enforce this hard line here? That's the question. That's the question, because if you can't, and say a EU boat or a UK boat is actually within their jurisdiction of where they're allowed to fish, and then their boat is seized by a French Navy or a British Navy when they were allowed to fish where they were, what happens in that situation? What's the recourse then? And so, that's a key question. Also, the fact they've got 4 boats to patrol all this water. Are you mad? 4 boats to do all that? Nah, you're having a laugh. That's clearly not going to be enough. And how much will it cost to put all these extra Navy boats here? How much will it cost? And where are these boats going to come from? Are they going to come from new boats being built? Or are these existing boats going to be taken from other vulnerable areas, such as the Strait of Hormuz and that kind of area, where we already saw, a British boat seized by the Iranians? Is that where the boats are going to come from? Because if that's the case, that's a stupid trade-off. And what we can see from this is the fact is, this fishing thing, no one's going to win from this, the UK especially, because chances are the EU are going to have patrol boats ready. I don't know if they're going to have enough. Maybe that's something I don't know if EU countries are going to have enough boats to patrol their waters, right? But it's going to be far easier for them to do that, considering that each country has their own individual navy, okay? And they're expecting the whole of the UK's navy to patrol areas along the sort of the Norwegian, water border, fishing border, the Dutch one, the Denmark one, the Belgian one, the French one, the Irish one, the Faroe Island one, the Iceland one. Do you see the point I'm making here? Is the UK is just not prepared to go down this route. And again, the key questions we need to ask ourselves is, if an EU boat or a boat from another place comes into UK waters, right? Are the Royal Navy expected to shoot at this boat, potentially killing people, and sinking the boat and drowning people therefore? Or are they expected to capture the boat, and therefore in that situation are the Royal Navy meant to detain the boat and the people on the boat, or are they expected to take the boat back into EU fishing waters? They're the questions we need to ask ourselves here. The EU also need to give answers about what's going to happen if a British boat goes into EU waters. Waiting for that, but we only really have control over the actions we take, which is what happens when boats come into our fishing waters. And so with that, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.